Hi, welcome back to another episode of Diggin Deep. It is so lovely to have you. Today's episode is going to be a continuation of the first episode, so if you haven't already, go watch episode 1 of the Burnout 2-part series. In that one, we give more introductory knowledge and information about what burnout is, the stress cycle, stress versus stressors, and just my experience working through all of that. So that is more of like a easier way into it, and then this one we're getting more into specific rituals and just more topics of unsubscribing from hustle culture. So go take a look at that first episode. And without further ado, it is time to dig deep. In the book, The Gifts of Imperfection, Brené Brown says that, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, insufficient sleep is associated with a number of chronic diseases and conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and depression. We're also learning that drowsy driving can be as dangerous and preventable as driving while intoxicated. Sidebar, another symptom for me. I don't know what it was, but driving became this unimaginable task. Not only because I've been in an accident and that gave me anxiety, but also just exhaustion and genuinely almost falling asleep behind the wheel. And doing drives that I routinely do was oh no, I can't keep doing this. My safety and potential life is on the line. So that is a very real symptom of burnout as well. Back to the book. She says, yet somehow many of us still believe that exhaustion is a status symbol of hard work and that sleep is a luxury. The result is that we are all so very tired, dangerously tired. The same gremlins that tell us we're too busy to play and waste time fooling around are the ones that whisper, "One more hour of work. You can catch up on your sleep this weekend. Napping is for the weak. Push through. You can handle it." But the truth is, we can't handle it. We are a nation of exhausted and overstressed adults raising overscheduled children. Woo! That part. We use our spare time to desperately search for joy and meaning in our lives. We think accomplishments and acquisitions, that's the word, will bring joy and meaning, but that pursuit could be the very thing that's keeping us so tired and afraid to slow down. Emphasis on afraid to slow down. If I can recommend one book to anybody in this world, Gifts of Imperfection. It talks about so much that overarches into the theme of perfectionism, but being scared to slow down, and also just the internal dialogue, like I mentioned before, literally happened to me today, of just not even my voice. I had to ask myself, who is that talking? Telling me that I just need to keep going, or that I'm unworthy because I'm slowing down and I'm taking things at a different pace than I used to, because before I didn't have this knowledge and I didn't have the wisdom of knowing that I need to slow down that I do now. That is not yours. You can so remove that, and it comes from being aware of those voices when they come up. And instead of demonizing them or making them this villain that's running your life, be curious and politely ask them to leave. And if they keep popping up when you don't want them to, tell them to get the fuck out, that this is your mind, this is your body, this is your life, and they do not get to rule it. They do not have power over you. They do not get the driver's seat. Take back the wheel. This is my car. This is my house. What are you doing here? Shoo, shoo. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So we know that doing the work also involves doing nothing, and that rest is not something that we need to earn, but it is something that we give to ourselves because we love ourselves. And another layered thing in terms of feeling your feelings is understanding how much of a gift it is. I have always been a big feeler, and probably because I'm a Cancer, I'm a water sign, I'm very emotional, connected to that part of me, and it can feel very heavy to feel and carry all of those emotions at all times. It can feel like an inconvenience, especially when you don't know how to move through your feelings and you're just stuck in the feeling. And I also get in this phase quite often, my therapist last year told me of this, of intellectualizing my feelings and not actually feeling them. I know where it came from, I know what's causing it, I know what it is, I have the words to vocalize what it is that I'm feeling, but how do I actually feel it? Your emotions mean nothing if you don't allow yourself to feel those energetic frequencies flowing through your body. And there's this beautifully written Substack article about how everyone is numbing out. It is from the author Catherine Shannon, and chef's kiss, I cannot recommend it enough. It is so beautifully articulate, and also a little bit scary thinking about how our culture is so used to running away from our running away from our big feelings and using substances, people, entertainment to completely distract us from living our real lives, because living our real lives is overwhelming. It requires us to face all of the big things going on, big and small, but piled on, it can just feel like too much to do anything. And I completely understand that feeling, but it is a gift to feel. I think it was a TikTok, which, what are you gonna do? Come on. That was talking about how, like, our ancestors and the people that came before us were not given the space and the luxury of feeling. And so recognizing that, feeling all of these emotions and truly like having a crisis and an intervention and feeling like you're losing your mind is really just helping you do things that are going to push not only you, but generations. This is generational work we're doing here, baby. Forward. Like having this emotional toolbox and building it up and then being able to give that to my future generations of kids is going to change lives. Having these emotions right now, sure, it feels like a lot because it's just me experiencing it. Well, really not really, because we all experience these things. Just not everybody talks about it. But in my personal experience, it feels like a lot because this is the first time I'm having this experience in this body in this time of my life. But zoom out. Think bigger picture here. Imagine like my kids watching this back one day and listening to mom talk about being a 20-year-old, going through all these feelings, and then them realizing that they're not alone and that we're all connected and that this is really just about being a human and learning how to do that in whatever way feels good for you and whatever way is healthy for your mind, body, soul, and spirit. There's so much. It is a gift to feel. I like to think of my emotions like a car alarm, which bear with me because I'm not a car girl by any means, but they can correlate. Your emotions are signals and invitations to understand your body on a deeper level. Similar to a car, how it has the dashboard and different little signals that pop up whenever there's an issue with your car. You may not always be able to see the issues that are happening internally because they are deep within there. But you have little signals. You have emotions that hint at you that there's something that needs attention. And it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. The signs on the dashboard are just going to keep popping up the more things that you suppress and you ignore. They are begging for your attention. And unfortunately, as humans, we don't have the luxury of having a flashing light to draw attention to. But we do have our emotions. Those are our body's way of telling us that it needs our attention, urging us to slow down, urging us to pay attention, urging us to be curious, ask questions. And also, with that, you're allowed to ask for help. I get down on myself about this a lot in this specific theme of anxiety, which I've really experienced since being an adult, which is crazy. But I get down on myself about the idea of needing people and looking outside myself for help. Whenever I feel too overwhelmed with emotional experiences in my own body, a lot of times I outsource that knowledge, which I think is completely okay to an extent. That's why I love books, that's why I love podcasts so much, and that's why I think you're probably here too, because you need help. That's okay. But it is always going to take you back to something that you know within yourself. Hearing someone articulate points that you feel but you just didn't say out loud or didn't articulate, or wisdom that you know deep within you just haven't had the space to bring it up. Wherever you go, no matter how far away you get disconnected from yourself, you're always going to meet yourself again. The world and the universe is always going to find a way to pull you back to yourself. It's like the song Sweet Creature by Harry Styles. Wherever I go, you bring me home. You being yourself. In the Substack, I'm just going to read a lot of points because it is so incredible and I just wish I wrote it myself, but I resonate with everything that she wrote, and it is a really interesting insight to our current society of numbness and just apathy and trying to remain optimistic. There's a video essay that I saw on YouTube. I didn't finish it yet, but I started it. I'll insert it right here about remaining optimistic in a nihilistic world. And she makes incredible points as well. But back to the Substack. She says that people started coping with this lack of meaning through a kind of ironic detachment, but it has matured into a pervasive cultural apathy of permeating numbness. Whew, buckle in because there are some hitters that we are about to go over. And this is all from the Substack. Again, Everyone is Numbing Out by Catherine Shannon. So many of the things that once gave the average person's life real meaning are now treated with sarcasm and contempt. College is a waste of money. Work is a waste of your life. Getting married is just a piece of paper. Having kids is a nightmare. Family is a burden. Hobbies are merely quaint. Earnestly expressing yourself is cringe. Leaving the house is exhausting. Religion is for idiots. The list goes on. We're so saturated in this environment that people are not only numbing out, they're kind of making a spectacle of it. And this is hinting at culture that makes fun of people for breaking out of this box of capitalism, overconsumption, consumerism, burning a one-way ticket to burning yourself out. Whenever someone strays off that path, they're seen as woo-woo. They're seen as crazy. And it's usually women who are doing this work. And this is also, I know I need to do more research on this, but I'm pretty sure this mirrors like the witch trials and women at that time who were really just spiritual beings connecting to the earth, but they were called crazy and put in psych wards and numbed up with medication to stop them from feeling anything instead of allowing them to feel and listen to the wisdom that they are giving us, because it is coming from the earth. Anyways. Also, though, the whole idea of that whole thing of just like things that once used to bring people joy and like our parents, the path that once used to work for them, even buying a house, that's not really possible unless you have hand-me-down money from mom and dad, or you have a partner, or you are working a crazy job with crazy hours that, again, one-way ticket to burnout. Do you see why existing can feel so hard? Do you see why it's so overwhelming? But that's why conversations like this are important, because you're not alone. You're not alone. Back to the Substack. We live in a mud puddle of memes, ironic hot takes, and self-conscious self-reference. I've had to read that like 10 times to, one, understand it, but two, let it sit. Self-conscious self-reference. So not only do you want to express yourself, but when you express yourself, you're also trying to mute yourself and edit your ideas while you're trying to get them out. Guilty. You're conscious of everything that you're doing and saying, but it's like that's you. Where is the disconnect happening? She says that thanks to the internet and our insatiably consumerist culture, it is finally possible to distract yourself for every waking minute of your life and barely even notice you're doing it. When you mix all colors of paint together, you get black. Everything quickly becomes nothing. You're playing a game of hide and seek with life, and you're hiding. We think we're building a wall, but we're really hollowing ourselves out from the inside. Eventually, without really noticing it, there will be nothing left for the wall to defend. There will be no one to find. We think that by putting up this armor of, I feel nothing, it is all too much, I'm just going to resign feelings entirely, we think we're protecting ourselves. But what we're really doing is harming ourselves. As we've talked about this entire episode, that stuff comes back up. No matter how much you push it down or try to suppress it, you can't put a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. You're going to have an even worse, probably more detrimental eruption of these emotions that have been suppressed for so long later down the line if you keep kicking them out. I can't find the page and I don't have time to look for it right this second, but I wrote in my journal that I'm trying to not make an enemy of my emotions or of my fear or of my anxiety. I'm trying to get stuck in them, at least long enough to learn that they're not the worst thing in the world, long enough to realize that they're there to help me, long enough to realize that this is what I need to be going through in order to evolve and get wisdom and equip myself with the tools. And the goal of all of this is not to never feel burnout ever again. It is not to never feel incapable or unworthy or fear or anxiety. Those are part of the human experience. The goal is to build my emotional toolbox so that when I do have those inevitable feelings again, I know how to move through it. I know that I'm capable of moving through it. I know that I've done it before, I can do it again, and I know that I have things to fall back on. I have resources. I don't have to do it alone. It is about building that emotional toolbox. That way, when something comes up, like this morning, I said, okay, what works? Talking things out clearly works. Y'all have me yapping. Like, y'all know I love to talk. Let me use that love language that I give to everybody to give it to myself. Let me affirm myself. And another one, acts of service. How can I show up for myself in the way I need and want? How can I realign my actions with my words? That's a whole conversation for another time. But there's one more thing I want to add on that connects to the Substack. Well, actually, I'm just kidding. There's a few more things that I have to say on that, but specifically, there's a song, I Know It's Over, by the Smiths, and I was reminded of this a few months ago when, again, internal winter, feeling so disconnected from the hustle and bustle of the world, and like I just wanted to walk in the park and look at trees and cry at flowers because they're so beautiful and symbolic. This song says, "It's so easy to laugh, it's so easy to hate. It takes strength to be gentle and kind." It repeats that same verse, and it says instead, "It takes guts to be gentle and kind." Turning your humanity off, I think of it like Stefan in the Vampire Diaries, that's an easy thing to do. That's a flip of a switch. It takes such strength, such guts, such bravery to say that this feeling is scary, but I'm going to run directly into it. I'm going to see what it has in store for me. I'm going to go down that tunnel, no matter how long, how dark, how scary, how unfamiliar it is. I'm going to go down it because I have hope that it will teach me something. I have hope that it is useful. And I have hope that me feeling these feelings is not for nothing. I get it. It is very easy to resign yourself to that belief that there is no point to all of this. And, there's room for that in healthy amounts, but please do not ever stay there. You were put here for a reason, and I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's cheesy and popular for a reason. You are meant to be here, genuinely. There are so many circumstances that could take any of us out at any given moment. The fact that we woke up in general is a gift and a beautiful calling to live your life, and that your story isn't finished. And that doesn't mean you have to change the world in one day. That's not really humanly possible, but it's a consistent effort and commitment that I'm going to show up even when the fear is there, even when the anxiety is there, even when I'm not confident, I don't have all the materials. Even this, I'm recording this on my laptop. This could be a full studio production, but I'm working with what I got. Show up in the way that you can every day. Do the best that you can. Nothing more, nothing less, but just your best. I want to share with you something that's kind of funny, but I think it'll help, and I want to do this with my future students. I sing myself this song just about every day when I'm cleaning up the preschool while I'm vacuuming. And it's to The Wheels on the Bus. I had to go through it in my head, but it's, "I did the best I could and that's enough. I did the best I could and that's enough. I did my very best, nothing more, nothing less. I did the best I could and that's enough. Hey, hey." And yes, sometimes I forget the lyrics, but that's fine because I'm human. But just silly little things that are really not silly at all, like that just practice mindfulness, that help you get out of that state of thinking that you are this constant thing to be fixed and not a human being to be lived and experienced. You did the best you could. You can't go redo it. It's over. It happened. So how are you going to deal with that? All you can do at any given moment is your best. Nothing more, nothing less. Leave it at that. Back to the culture of numbness. There is the analogy, or I don't even know if it's an analogy, it might be a story, but the frog in hot water experiment. And that basically touches on the idea that things become so bad, but we are so used to it, so we stay. And in that experiment, I really don't know if it was a real experiment or if it's just a metaphor, but anyways, basically you put frogs in water, it starts at room temperature, and then you slowly, gradually raise the temperature to boiling water that they would jump out of if they immediately got into it. But since they've been in there, it's familiar, they're used to it, they don't even notice that it's boiling water. And I'm pretty sure they die. I'm almost positive that they die. They probably will because you're not meant to be in boiling water. Hello? Hey, that could be applied to humans. We get so used to an environment that we stay there even if we know it's not aligned. We stay there even if we deeply have a calling to go somewhere else just because it's what's familiar. That's why so many people settle in relationships, in jobs, in places that they genuinely hate, but they feel like they need to because capitalism tells you that you need to do this, this, and this. We stay in places that are not good for us because they are familiar. And the alternative is going completely off what we know. And that is why people who take the road less traveled by are usually scrutinized, and they are judged so heavily because the people that stay and settle are jealous because they want to live that life. They just didn't have the guts to do so. And I will do an episode about this eventually, but I'm currently in that phase of like figuring my life path out, and it is involving me taking the road less traveled by and going down a path that is not common, but is a path that I know is meant for me and aligned. It is easy for me to stay and settle. It is easy for me to fall into a life out of convenience, not out of conviction. Ooh! That would be easy. And I'm not saying that anybody that is choosing staying in this state is choosing a path of settling. That's your business. If you like it here, girl, do what is good for your heart and your soul. But in the greater context of things, just like a frog in hot water, we forget to pay attention to what is happening and if we even like what's happening in the path that our life is taking, because we get so used to the mundane, monotonous routine of our daily tasks that we don't even hop out of that and hop into awareness. Your brain learns to adapt to its environment. Therefore, if you're surrounded by people that settle or people that are okay with staying complacent, you too are going to become that, which is terrifying, but it is also a wake-up call. How can you practice mindfulness in your every single day life? How can you check yourself to see if this is a life that I've built that I love, or a life that I've built because it's convenient, because it's what everybody else is doing? And I think that's what your 20s are for. At least I hope so, because this shit is hurting my brain. Honoring yourself, honoring your path, honoring your pace. This whole theme of unsubscribing from hustle culture sounds nice, but how do we do that? How do we put those things into practice? Like I said, I took a while off because I desperately needed it, and not only did I need it just to figure out my brain and sort some things out up there, but I also needed it to practice things before I give you guys the advice, because I don't want to just be someone that comes on here and says, do your journal prompts. It's easy for me to say that, but am I actually doing that? And I can confidently say that I have been, and it's true what they say. Journaling, mindfulness, gratitude, presence, somatic healing, yoga, water, vitamins, it's going to change your life. So, coming home to yourself. Tips from a girl trying her best not to lose her mind and remind you that you're not alone. I have 10. There are many more, but we're going to keep it to a cute 10. Number 1, probably my biggest one of all of these. I didn't put these in a specific order, but if I did have a ranking, it would be this one. Connect with nature. Like, oh my gosh, right now I just heard birds chirping, and like I am on the verge of tears. Nature is so healing. Just like taking your shoes off and touching grass and connecting with Mother Earth, Mother Nature. Also, I'm fully convinced that God is a woman. You cannot convince me that a man built this. Are you kidding? But just the beauty of nature, the fact that like plants operate in their own seasons and they are not comparing themselves to another plant and saying that I need to be full right now. That plant is colorful and has all of its leaves, why don't I? No, it goes at its own pace. It knows when to slow down, when to go away, when to isolate and be by itself, and when to pop off and be colorful and vibrant and wow the world. We are like that as well. Not only is nature incredibly healing in terms of just reminding us that we are like plants, like it mirrors us so beautifully. It is us, we are it, but it is also so good, and I don't really know the medical reasoning for this, but I've heard it before, can't tell you right now, but like just getting fresh air, it clears your mind. And again, being with nature, you can do activities with nature. I said that physical activity is one of the best things for completing the stress cycle. Going on a walk at sunset, watching your day end peacefully and beautifully. Like how cool is that the universe designed it that every single night to send us off and to wake up with us, honestly. It makes the sky look beautiful. It paints the sky with beautiful, vibrant colors. Obviously, that's dependent on where you live, but like, even just the ocean, man. I had such a privilege of being able to go to the ocean this past weekend, and every single time I'm there, one, I'm reminded that I need to move to a body of water. I'm like me becoming a mermaid. But I need to move by a body of water because it reminds me that my problems are never that big. And that's not invalidating them, but the ocean, this vast, seemingly never-ending thing, however deep you go, however far out you go, it keeps going. It will hold space for my problems. She is bigger than I am, and the fact that we exist at the same time is just mind-blowing, but the ocean is bigger than all my problems. Therefore, just like the waves rise and fall, my problems will rise and fall and eventually pass and settle. And it's just about learning how to ride that wave. Number 2, building routines out of love, not obligation or trying to prove your worthiness, aka rituals. Now, I know that routines are very common in self-help culture, but I've been tapping into more of the spiritual girls, and I love that they use the word rituals because the connotation of routine can sometimes be negative just because it feels very rigid, very, I must do this is my routine, I am a bot. It doesn't have to be, but just for my personal brain, that's how it feels sometimes. But ritual, it just feels like, ooh, what's that? That has a beautiful little kick to it. And for me, rituals just implies love, just implies that I'm doing this because I love myself, not because I'm trying to change something about myself. So you figure out what works for you. If that is calling it a routine, that's okay. If it's a ritual, then make that switch. And that's not to say you can never use the word routine, but just be mindful of the words you use because every single time we speak, we are casting spells, and the words you speak matter. They hold weight. They have definitions for a reason. The way that you package the message matters just as much as the message itself. Number 3, reading mindfulness books in the morning instead of scrolling. Now, I think it's insane that I have been so okay with having a screen time of like 8+ hours a day. Mind you, we are given 24 hours a day, and we are not even awake for those 24 hours. So let's say we're awake for like 14 of them, right? If you're spending 8 hours of your day on your phone, the rest of the time that you have, you're probably at work. So you're not even really living your life. And it is really easy to get caught up in consuming. I get it. I've been there, and I'm still trying to snap out of that. But realize how much of your attention in your life are given to other people. And what type of content are you consuming? Because it's not all bad. Also, I'm talking really fast, which means I'm excited. Bear with me, I'm sorry. But just seeing where your energy goes, because our attention, this is not a new concept by any means, but our attention is truly like one of the most valuable things we have. Our time is valuable, and if you're constantly giving that to someone else and content that is negative and that leaves you feeling worse than when you found it, there has to be a switch. And I started carrying a book in my car too, just to help me. Like in a moment when I have the urge to scroll, let me read a book that is going to help me and help me connect with the present moment instead of consuming content that's going to make me feel like I'm behind in life. Number 4, switching your alarm tone to something that is peaceful. I hate the iPhone alarm sound. I've said this for years, but it makes me feel like there's a fire alarm going off and like I need to evacuate my house immediately or I am going to burn with it. So I made the switch. It's a small switch, but picking songs, you don't have to keep it that way forever. You can pick a new one every time or whenever you feel like it. Picking a peaceful song. How do you want to start your day? Think of it as more of a spiritual ritual and practice of you waking up with the world. You are entering a brand new day. It is a clean slate. You can do whatever you want that day, but how do you start it? How do you enter that day? How does that set the tone for the rest of your day? Just some things to ponder. Number 5, and this is a huge one that I heard from the Figuring Shit Out podcast by Vanessa Fontana. I love that woman so much. She speaks in poems and is the most soothing thing for my brain, but casting an energetic force field around myself before leaving the house every morning. So, like I mentioned, making routines and rituals out of love, and the 3 things that I've started implementing is gratitude journal, meditation, and yoga. Well, I guess 4, but this kind of ties in with meditation, but after my meditation, I will do my energetic spell. And it is something so simple. I sit in front of my mirror, and I look out at the day, as the sun is rising up, and I just ask the universe to please cast an energetic force field, and I hold in my hand like I'm wanding a spell. And you can do it with sage or whatever you have, or literally just your hand, and imagine that you have a magic wand casting a beautiful spell. And I ask that the universe please allow me to be grounded and safe in my body. I ask that you please protect me from any energy that is not productive, and I ask that you please protect me from any negative energy. Allow me to not absorb it as my own and to stay grounded in the safety of my body. And it has really done tremendous work for me. Like, I don't say that just to be woo-woo. It truly, like, in moments of chaos that I usually would have got riled up and absorbed the energy of others, because I'm a very empathetic person and I take people's things on as my own. I've noticed ever since starting this kind of prayer, if you will, that I'm allowed and able to be safe in my body. Like, yes, I can see what's happening, but I have this awareness that my energy doesn't have to be manipulated or changed by theirs. Like, I am safe in my body. I can help and observe, but I don't have to be changed in a negative way. And all I have to say is try it for yourself. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just trying to help you get some tools, because I heard this from someone else and it sounded like so cool that she did it, and I was like, my higher self would do that, but I don't know how I can do that now. And then I just started, and it's worked. So I want this to be a reminder to you that maybe if you've been wanting to try that, but it seems a little weird, try it. Because we encounter so many energetic frequencies throughout the day that we do not need to adopt as our own. Number 6, which is another thing that I couple into my rituals, speaking life into myself, affirming yourself until you believe it. One of my favorite affirmations currently is, I am limitless. I'm trying to really reconnect with my soul, my soul's purpose. My middle name literally means purpose, so reconnecting with myself, honestly, and realizing that there are all of these limits that exist, whether it is applied from society or ones that I give to myself, that are just not true and that are made up, and things that are meant to keep us small. Your soul is not meant to live a small, petite, digestible life. She is meant to expand. She is a beaming ray of light, and she wants to live a life that is full. So speaking life into yourself, whatever that looks like, things like I said earlier that you can just write down and then say to yourself, or even there are a lot of YouTube videos that I've saved that are just affirmations and aimed at rewiring your subconscious mind, because there are thoughts circulating throughout your brain, whether you're conscious of it or not, and that manifests in your actions, and then that manifests in the life you live. It's all connected. So it starts small, and you have to say the silly things to then believe them and then put them into practice. And if you tell yourself enough that you're capable, you're worth love and attention, and you're worth living a full life, eventually you're going to start leading a life that is those things. Number 7, deep expressive breaths during ordinary tasks or whatever tension arises. You've seen me during this. This is just a testament to the practices that I've been putting in. Breathing, like, it's so funny to even say out loud, but like, I forget to breathe sometimes, and I just hold that tension, and then it builds in my chest, and that can manifest in heart problems, and I don't want that. So yes, I will literally breathe. If I'm teaching and I feel really overwhelmed, I will take a deep breath. If I'm washing my hands and I have a free moment, I will take a deep breath. If I'm at the register at my other job and I am feeling really overwhelmed in between customers, I will take a moment to, or do a little expressive breathing. Let me see if I can do it. Sometimes it doesn't work. Whoa, it looks funny on the camera. Things like that, just getting your energy out. Again, signaling to your body it is safe to relax. It is safe to feel. Number 8, which probably should be higher up on my list as well, but again, no specific order, somatic healing. What somatic healing focuses on is connecting the mind, body, and soul, and looking inwards to heal the body instead of seeking outward knowledge to tell you how to fix yourself. We possess the answers that we need and that we seek internally. It's just about us quieting the noise and tuning into our internal frequency. And again, that's not to say that there aren't teachers that you can't learn from. There's not to say that there's not information that you don't have, like, for example, like holistic healing, nutrition, stuff like that. There are things that I don't know that I want to learn, but it's being tapped into your body and listening, and then that internal knowledge will then push you in the path of gaining external knowledge. And things like yoga that is focused on listening to your body, giving back to yourself. Things like holistic health in terms of like skincare, things that are very simple ingredients, feeding and fueling your body with nutrients that are productive for you and that are applicable to your cycles. That is all tied into somatic healing, going into the body to heal the body. Number 9, let people love you when you feel most unlovable. This is something that, again, I feel like I could make a new episode about all of these things. That is something that is really, really prevalent, and I wrote about this in my journal because my wonderful, lovely angel of a friend, Veronica, and all of my friends, honestly, but specifically during this time when I had a lot of anxiety, I was going over to her house frequently just because we had plans, and I didn't want to cancel because I really wanted to see her, but I just felt so guilty of her like seeing me at such a low point, and it happened 2 times in a row. And you know what she did? She just loved me even harder. She just loved me for it, and that's making me cheer up right now because it just feels so good to like be loved in a way that is so unconditional, in a way that is like, I love you not because of what you do for me and not because I think you need to be perfect, but because you're you, and that means I'll love you when you don't feel like you, and I'll help you find you. Like, oh my gosh. And she literally wrote me a note about like thanking me for like being a good friend to her. And mind you, I was showing up to her house in shambles, like crying and being like, girl, I'm so sorry, like I'm so anxious. But just being around people and letting people love you and letting people see you when you don't feel like 100% yourself, because that's part of being human. You don't have to be this perfectly packaged thing that's always positive and always has the right thing to say. Literally sitting in silence. One of our favorite things to do together is just sit on the couch and watch a movie. Silence. Comfortable silence though, because we just love each other. And that's how all of my friends are, and I'm just so unbelievably grateful. And again, I've gone through my fair share of friendship breakups, so just getting to this place where I feel like I've built a beautiful community around me that like holds space for me and sees the real me even when I don't. That'll make a grown woman cry. It is so affirming. And last one, this is one that again, I was reminded of this week because we're working through these things actively. Awareness and perspective. Noticing how far you've come. Something that I wrote in my notes, I believe in January, when I was feeling these feelings of wanting to slow down but being forced to speed up and keep going. I, at the time, was taking, I believe, 4 classes, and then I just felt so overwhelmed that I dropped a class, which felt like a disappointment, but I'm looking at it now as something that I had to do for myself, and I'm proud of myself for honoring that recognition that I can't keep going and I can't do all of this. Like, I can do only so much at a time. But I wrote in my notes that one off day or week or month does not destroy all of the progress I've made. And again, life repeats lessons so many times, and I'm going to share with you something that I wrote in my journal from this recent burnout experience. This was a day that brought me to tears because I saw an angel number, and it's really just little things in life like that that bring me joy. I said, earlier today I was rereading old journal entries, and it amazes me the nature of the human spirit. A year ago, when I experienced similar anxiety and anxious manifestations, I was journaling about the exact same things that I have recently been documenting. I've been struggling with feeling like I'm moving backwards, but deep down, I know that nothing is ever wasted. I can't accept that negative, limited, nihilistic way of viewing the world. I refuse to let the weight of the world take me down with it. I am and always will be an eternal optimist. That is inherent to my state of being. I think the universe sends us the same lesson in different forms for 2 reasons. 1, to test us and see if we're really serious about the things we say we are. It's an attempt to call our bluff, an invitation to rise to the occasion. And number 2, to give us a gentle reminder that we are always in an endless process of unraveling and coming together, knowing and wondering, mastery and being a beginner. Life is like a spiral, a constant, lifelong journey of getting to know and co-creating yourself. I think if you slow down and listen, the universe will guide you exactly where you're meant to be. It's a balancing act of relentlessly showing up for your life and simultaneously surrendering to uncertainty of our fleeting time on this planet. But truly, and funny enough, in my class astronomy that I dropped, we were talking about the idea of how significantly insignificant we all are. And that is why I have to believe that there is a purpose to all these lessons, because there's no way that I'm just going through these things that could potentially deteriorate my body for no reason. And I want to end us on this point. And this is probably my longest episode I'll ever make, but I just had so much to share and say, and I just really want to get it out. What's the rush? With hustle culture, there is always this constant pull to speed up, go, 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 go. You need to do, make. People always asking you for more. What is the rush? And I had to stop and ask myself this while I was internally rushing me as well. And I realized it all ends the same for every single human being on this planet. The end is the same, and the end is us not being here anymore. Which, for me personally, I do not want to rush to that ending. I want to live my life fully, and I want to experience all that there is to experience. So why am I rushing? Is that a rush that I have applied to myself, or is that a rush I've adopted from our culture and our fast-paced society? That is not something I subscribe to. Hence, why I will be moving to an island where I can be a woman of the land and move at the pace of nature. Thank you. Our ego is what convinces us that it is about winning and losing, about getting somewhere first, and if we don't get there first, we're last, and then, If we don't get there first, then we apply all these feelings of unworthiness and failure to ourselves, or we compare ourselves to others, and we want to rush through our lives. To get to what destination? Because a lot of times when people accomplish their bigger goals, they're left feeling unfulfilled because that is all that they amounted their life to. And now that they've got the thing, they have nothing else to strive for. Which is why it is so imperative and important to enjoy the journey of getting there. Because once you have that thing, there's always going to be more to do and more to potentially get. But how are you going to live your life and your experience in the now and honor where you are right now? I want you to look down real quick. Tap your little feet. Tap your little toesies. Where are you? Have you been somewhere else? Has your mind been wandering? I know mine can, quite honestly, and quite frequently. I always have to remind myself that. Be where my feet are. There is no rush. If I was meant to be somewhere else, I would be there, but I am here right now. All I have to worry about is exactly what I'm doing right in this moment. I can get anxious about thinking about all the things I have to do later and the things that I want to do. I am just a naturally very ambitious person, and that can cause me to fill up my to-do list with a lot of things in a day that is not realistic for one person to get done in a span of 24 hours. And I've had to say to myself, and this is another thing that I've implemented since being aware of my burnout, what I did today was enough. In the 5-minute journal that I use, there's a section that says, how could I have made today better? And even just ending my day with that of like, ooh, I could have done more, I could have been better, leaves me going to bed feeling like I wasn't enough. So again, find ways to remind yourself of your inherent worth. If that is repeating to yourself throughout the day, what I am doing is enough, or even ending your day with, what I did today was enough, allow yourself the gift of resting and not having to constantly rush, do, more. Chase internal fulfillment, ease, and peace. Learn how to tune into your own internal wants and desires, and figure out what truly is fulfillment and what is success to you. It is learning to take your mask off, learning that there is nothing more to prove, there's no audience to perform for. You are allowed to just simply be. One more deep breath before we end this off. I want you to breathe in all of the limiting beliefs, all of the external things that are weighing on you that maybe you currently believe in this moment, but deep down you know that that's not yours to carry. Breathe it in. Breathe it all in. Take a big, deep inhale, and I want you to hold it at the top, letting that emotion build. And then I want you to release. Let it out with a deep sigh. It is not yours. And with that release, I want you to know that you are making space for things that you truly resonate with to come into your life. And know that what you are doing is enough. Release all the things that don't serve you and welcome in all the things that do. And it is a full process, and it is not something that is done in a day or a month or a year even, but that's why we are hopefully given years to figure this all out. So I love you. Thank you so much for being here. If you listen all the way through, comment, say what you're working through right now and say what you're releasing, because I think it's awesome to be united with all of this like that. We're all doing the best we can, and that's all we can ever do. I love you, and like I said, I will be making these when they are aligned, and I hope that's okay. I will see you when I see you. I love you, and I hope you give love and space to yourself. I will see you when I see you.